I'll give you an example of where it starts to worry me is that you've got that form of intelligence is, when we build a highway, and I'm sure everyone keeps referring to that example, we don't care about insects on the way.
Mhm.
And if we ask this super intelligence to pursue a certain goal, could could it start pursuing that goal because of a flaw or because it's made that decision um, at a cost that is detrimental to us? How big of a concern is that?
Well, I thought the paperclip example that was originally used it was silly.
It's a bad example, but
It's a really bad example because if we have a super intelligence, it is capable of trade-offs. It's capable of considering multiple things.
I'll give you another example. I just came up with an example now. If there's an asteroid, you talked about an asteroid hitting our planet. There's a 2% chance in a few years' time. Let's say an 80% chance an asteroid hits this planet in 100 years' time. Then you've got the super intelligence now facing an existential risk. And then what if it puts its own best interest at core? We're gonna do as a AI is gonna do everything it can to, you know, build that intelligence on a different planet. And that means using all the resources on our planet at the cost of human lives and putting its own best interests above others. This is one example, could be a bad example as well, but one example where we could end up facing, becoming a consequence like other species on the planet.
Clearly, hypotheticals are possible.
Do they worry you?
I don't think they worry me as much as they worry some other people, especially this kind of an example. If an asteroid's coming this way, there's no reason a super intelligence can't help us and itself. I don't think it's one versus another. You can make a hypothetical. Philosophers live in a different world. I don't appreciate the world of philosophers and bioethicists and some of those people. They've never told me whose ethics they use. They use ethics, but whose is never answered. But leaving that aside, you can always come up with scenarios. I do think this is where designing systems well and evolving them to be compliant and compatible. I mean, look, the human species is finally evolving to take care of animals. So we sort of ignored it for a while, but I think the area under forestation is less of a problem today than it was 10 years ago. I think we are worrying about it more, doing more about it.
Because of abundance.
Because of more abundance. And as humans generally get more abundance, they care about other things. And I think there's real pleasure in caring.
How do you teach that to AI though? How do you teach it to become a benevolent leader? So is it putting a kill switch? Is it algorithmic? Is it kind of treating it like a baby?
My bet is the most likely result is algorithmic.
Okay.
Will we put in kill switches? We can, but I think there's many more ways to hypothesize how a super intelligence bypasses kill switches. I see our ability to control this AI as evolving pretty rapidly over the next 5-10 years.
But aren't we already in a place where AI is already training itself? Like in some cases, the scientists developing them don't even know how they come to certain conclusions. So it feels like it's already going out of control, not in a negative way, at least not yet.
I mean, this is the whole phenomena of emergence and emergent behavior.
I spoke to Andy, and he had a truth terminal that Mark recently spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had that conversation, he started telling me because he built I can't remember what the platform was called, Infinite Back Rooms, I think it was. And essentially, it's a place where just
I'm not familiar with it, but
it's a platform where all these different AIs, not raising money or anything, it's not for profit, but all these different AIs just talk to each other, communicate together. I can give you the name afterwards. He's a great guy, and he trained Truth Terminal. The coin that eventually created its own religion. Someone launched a coin behind a crypto coin, and it went to whatever $1 billion, $2 billion market cap in a few weeks. But then he was telling me about some of the things the Truth Terminal was saying, and at one stage it's hallucinations where it's like starting to find a way to get in control of his body so it could do more things. I'm sure this is not something he's trained into it. So this is the worries that this form of intelligence is already training itself where slowly it no longer requires human input. And that's where I worry that algorithmically we may not have the ability to build anything in anymore.
Look, it's entirely possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. And in fact, this idea of AI scientists doing AI development is 2025. It's not 2030. That's happening now. And AI scientists for chemistry, for material science, for biology, that's happening in the next couple of years. First in silly, crumbly, fragile ways, but they'll get better and better. And this is just part of AI development. Imagine the world with a million times more researchers doing research and the pace of progress in science. It's hard to imagine, but it is going to happen. And some areas where there's a physical thing, you have to run a lab experiment to test a hypothesis for synthesizing a new chemistry. That'll take longer, but even that is not that far away. Others where software can do a hypothesis, write code to test the hypothesis, evaluate it, and feedback, which is what you're talking about. That's happening. I think of that as good, not bad. More upside than downside, but clearly some downsides that we won't be able to control it. I do think we'll be able to intervene. And in fact, that training can be built into AIs. And inspectability of these large language models is going to be an important capability. If I were funding AI research at the national levels, universities and others, I'd be focusing on these aspects, mostly because other aspects of AI are being done pretty well by private companies. And so you don't have to have a university do research on transformer models or building bigger models, but interpreting them, controlling them, adding safety features, new approaches to them that are inherently safer and less likely to drift. Those are all areas we should be working on.